The economy is the Gillard government's battleground of choice in its bid to win the endless campaign against the opposition. Today, Julia Gillard laid down some of her markers for the year, saying she wants to build a new economy that includes everyone in its growth. Shortly, we'll discuss the plan with Workplace Relations Minister Bill Shorten and Julia Gillard's pledge to return to surplus in the next budget. But first, political editor Heather Hewitt reports.
It was an expectant audience. The cream of Melbourne's business and academic communities, all there to hear the Prime Minister's economic vision for the year ahead. In her keynote speech to the Australia-Israel Chamber of Commerce, this is the essence of what they got.
My line is very clearly drawn. This Labor government will make the right choices. We will build a new Australian economy.
It was a theme reiterated throughout her speech.
A new economy which is prosperous and fair, creative and skilled. We can see an opportunity to build a new Australian economy. And as Australians imagine this new economy that we want to build, we know that we need to build it together. We know that for everyone to have a share in the new economy, everyone must have the skills the new economy needs.
Well, I think in general, the voters would be saying, what? What do you mean, a new Australian economy? I mean, saying we're drawing a line in the sand, we're going to make the hard decisions, etc. Of course, you know, no one's going to stand up and say we won't draw a line in the sand and we will make easy decisions. So it did seem to me to be really short on any kind of certainly any kind of vision.
It's meant to be a beginning of the year type event, so it's not surprising to see rhetorical flourishes in speeches like this.
Of course, voters are now used to a regular diet of slogans from both sides of politics, and they don't always come with backup detail. A new economy is the latest. But the Prime Minister knows she's up against the opposition's constant attacks of reckless economic management, and this will be the key battleground at the next election. So today she gave a lengthy pitch on the strength of Australia's economy compared to the crisis in Europe.
The ultimate proof of economic policy failure, mass unemployment, is blighting millions of European lives. As Australians see the problems of Europe, we see the importance of fiscal discipline, and as Australians increasingly come to know that our own fundamentals are strong by comparison, we know that we would not change places with any economy in the world.
The economics of it make a fair bit of sense. I mean, the Europeans would probably not welcome the analysis of their past economic and fiscal policy failures, but I think she's right in the points that she makes, that the difficulties Europe is now confronting have been greatly magnified by the fact that for more than 20 years, European governments have for the most part failed to follow the kind of disciplined fiscal policy framework that Australia's had at least since the mid-1990s.
The Prime Minister insisted her strategy remained one of fiscal discipline.
While global conditions make it harder, we are strongly placed to deliver a surplus for 2012-13. Handing down a budget surplus this May will be good for the Australian economy, good for growth and good for jobs.
She provides a reasoned argument as to why the Australian government should be aiming to return the budget to surplus, although she doesn't provide any argument as to why it must be in 2012-13 rather than some other year.
I think there's much more work to be done than simply the kind of recital we heard in today's speech. It seemed to me that another aspect of today's speech, not just in terms of content but in terms of delivery, is that it rather reinforces an unfortunate perception of the Prime Minister that it's all a bit too controlled, it's all a bit too contrived, that she's staying on message, that she's not being the kind of person that she really is.
She was certainly staying on message, as she acknowledged some sectors were doing it tough because of the strong Australian dollar.
It's as if the world is turning up the speed on the treadmill while we're exercising. It's an adjustment. It takes work. It builds strength. It's an adjustment up, not an adjustment down. And we can make it work for us.
Changing and improving skills was the Prime Minister's answer as she urged business to build a high-tech, fast broadband, clean energy economy. And she pledged to help by subsidising vocational students in the TAFE sector.
We will see our nation stick together. We will see our nation win through.
So, how did all of this rhetoric and Julia Gillard's economic assessments go down with audience members who have heard more than one or two political speeches over the years?
I feel that she was admirable in saying that she wants to train up Australians. My one question and concern is, where are all these trained Australians going to work?
Do you think what the Prime Minister had to say would have given the business community confidence, or are they just waiting and watching?
I think the business community are waiting and watching. It's a very hard line in government when you've only got such a narrow majority. And she's doing a good job for somebody that has probably the toughest job in Australia.
I thought she was very bullish about the new Australian economy, and I think it's probably now to implementation. I think that's what business are looking for, some leadership and direction, and now the government needs to go and implement.
And that's what everyone, not just the business community, will be looking out for this year.
Heather Ewart with that report.